Welcome to The Explainer. So, today we're doing something a little different. We're going to dive into a modern fable, one that's all about power, tech, and the stories we're told. Let's break it all down. Yeah, so instead of our usual news article or some dense research paper, we're looking at a story, but a story with a purpose. It's specifically designed to get us thinking, to make us question where power really lies in our super connected digital world. And look, this is super important. We're here to analyze the story itself, how it's put together, what it's trying to say. We're not treating these characters like they're real people. It's all about the allegory. Okay, with that out of the way, let's jump in. All right, so the story kicks off in this barren desert. And right away, you know this is a metaphor, right? It's setting the scene for a world that's really struggling. Think widespread hunger, disease, just a tough situation. And into this scene steps our main character, a tech king. The story even describes him with this faint digital crown. He's basically positioned as this modern-day messiah figure, someone who's promising to save everyone with his two big gifts: amazing technology and, of course, his incredible generosity. So right off the bat, the story sets him up as this really benevolent guy. But, and this is a great little detail, the text points out his smile has this little hint of a shadow. It's the very first clue, that little seed of doubt, that maybe, just maybe, there's something else going on here. Okay, so let's see how this plays out. The fable now shows us how that one act of charity starts to balloon into this massive global empire. And as you might guess, that shadow we just talked about, well, it starts to grow right along with it. The story uses this really vivid image of a giant castle, but it's not made of stone. It's built from code and money. I mean, it's a pretty clear metaphor, right? This is his sprawling tech company, the very foundation of all his power. And he's not alone. With his wife, he starts this huge foundation, and the fable pictures it as this beautiful giant tree with a canopy covering the whole world. But here's the catch. The story hints that its roots are starting to, well, let's just say they're getting tangled up with global health groups and even governments. A little too close for comfort, maybe. But then, bam, the whole narrative takes a sharp turn. That perfect picture of the do-gooder couple, it just shatters. His wife leaves him, and as she goes, she whispers this one absolutely chilling line that suggests his real goal is something much, much darker. Next up, the fable brings in a new character, a shadow demon. And let's be real, it's a very clear stand-in for Jeffrey Epstein. The moment this character shows up at one of the king's parties, well, that's the point where the story directly confronts the king's public good guy image with his very questionable private friendships. And this right here, this really gets to the heart of the story's big conflict. On one side, you've got the public promise, all noble goals like ending disease and poverty. But on the other side, you have what the story suggests is the real ambition, harvesting data, controlling governments, a much darker picture. So now the tension really starts to ramp up. We're moving beyond just personal suspicions and private dealings into a huge global event, one that really starts to blur the lines between this fictional story and our own reality. Okay, this timeline is absolutely central to what the fable's trying to say. It's positioning a real event, Event 201, not as some random coincidence, but as a planned-out dress rehearsal for the pandemic that followed. A practice run, if you will. And the imagery the fable uses here is so stark. It shows the king holding a glass sphere with a virus inside, which then shatters and spreads. The implication is pretty clear, right? This wasn't an accident. It's being portrayed as a known thing, something contained and then released. And then you get this quote from the tech king: "We must be prepared." In the context of the story with him about to unleash the virus, it's chilling. It totally reframes that word, preparation, making it sound way more calculated, even sinister. And that brings us to the fable's big finale. This is where we see the full fallout from the king's actions, and where he makes one final dramatic offer to the world. So the last scene paints this picture of a world just completely in chaos, a world that, the story argues, the king had a hand in creating, and now he steps back into the spotlight to save everyone all over again. But this time, his solution has nothing to do with charity, it's all about control. Yeah, the big solution he offers isn't about giving people freedom. It's the exact opposite. It's control, but it's cleverly disguised as protection. He's offering everyone safety and quiet from the chaos, but the price for that safety is their silence and their compliance. This is really the climax of the story. It all boils down to this stark transaction. This is the moral of the fable laid bare. The choice the people are given isn't really a choice at all. You can have a world of chaos, or you can have a world of quiet control. And so, we're left with the one big question that the fable wants us to ask ourselves. You have to wonder, was any of this ever really about charity, or was it about power from the very beginning? Now, the fable doesn't just leave you hanging, it gives you its own pretty cynical answer to that question. It's this final provocative thought that power is never really charitable, it just pretends to be. It's a warning, really, to always question the motive when you see that kind of massive power at play, no matter how good it looks on the surface.